There's the announcement from yesterday. Extended. Andy Reid, head coach. Brett Veach, general manager. Mark Donovan, president. And look, I specifically wanted this tweet to be shown because, and I'm just going to go out and say it, I've considered how best and most tactfully to say it, but get Mark Donovan off that graphic. What's he doing on that graphic? What has he done to really deserve that kind of attention and focal point? And this is what drives the football people in every organization crazy. There's always somebody who isn't accountable with their jobs, who shows up when things are going well to say, put me in the spotlight. Look, he's the biggest guy on the graphic. And let's look at this. Patrick Mahomes is the reason those three guys have gotten their contracts. Well, Andy Reid coaches him. Brett Veach found him. What's Mark Donovan done other than, like, balance the books?
Well, I don't know. Maybe did he hire Veach and Andy Reid?
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know that he was the team president when Reid was hired.
I know.
I mean, look.
I couldn't remember either.
Look. What you know what he's done in the last year? He was responsible for the landslide defeat of this ballot measure that he was front and center on behalf of the Chiefs pushing to try to get free money to renovate Arrowhead Stadium. It wasn't even close. He said, we're optimistic we'll win. It was a landslide defeat. And the last that we heard from him on a matter, other than the embarrassing blowout loss for a team that's more popular in its local market than any in the NFL right now, was when he was asked about the Rashee Rice incident. And he said, thank God nobody was injured. And it's like, what are you talking about, Mark? People were injured. Are you clueless or are you lying? So I'm just saying, on behalf of Andy Reid and Brett Veach, get that guy off the graphic. Good for him to get a contract. I don't know what all he does for the team, but he's not involved in the winning of football games.
All right.
I don't think.
But like
I
you
just
always
don't think,
say, these guys
on behalf of the football,
Yeah.
if I'm Reid and I'm Veach or their family members, I'm like, it really should be the moment for Reid and Veach, not the bean counter who's the representative of Clark Hunt who lives in Dallas, who's in the building every day.
Right.
That's just, and I know that's a little harsh.
Yeah,
but
it's beyond a little harsh. It's like crazy harsh. Like, hey, congratulations!
Get him off the graphic.
Now I'm gonna shit on you for
graphic.
your new deal. Thank you.
Get
Way
him.
to go.
I never said congratulations.
No,
get him off the graphic.
No, I don't know.
Hey.
Of
Chris,
all the things that you're worried about,
Chris,
you talk about it. You
Chris,
just are talking about the Jets.
no.
It starts from the top,
Here's my
right?
point.
I mean, it's a guy that's the president. I don't know exactly what he does.
Clark got an F. Clark got an F minus.
Right.
Clark got an F minus.
Yeah, but they got an A plus on the
Maybe he had
field.
something to do with that.
They got an A plus.
Right. And what did Mark Donovan have to do with what happened on the field?
I don't know.
My point is this:
he might have hired Andy Reid.
If things were going sideways right now for the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid and Brett Veach were on the hot seat, we wouldn't be talking about Mark Donovan being on the hot seat. Yeah, this is just one of the things that drives the football people crazy.
I know.
There's always somebody who tries to slide into the spotlight when everything's doing well. And when it's not, they're hiding under the bed. I have nothing to do with football operations. This is just a prime example of the positive side. When things are going great, here I am. When things are going poorly, I don't have anything to do with football. Then that I know, because I've been hearing it for 23 years. It drives the coaches, the GMs, the scouts, the assistants crazy that they have to carry the accountability with their jobs and they have to share the glory with others whose asses aren't on the line when things go poorly. And in this instance, the one thing he was in charge of was a debacle. The failed vote. You can't leverage the popularity of this Chiefs team into getting enough people to vote. And now it's like, well, it was because it was tied to baseball. Well, you tied it to baseball. You should have gotten away from the Royals. You guys went forward with this thing, and it was an abject failure. That's the one thing on Donovan's resume. That's why, we play the game which doesn't belong and why. It's not a hard one if we would play which doesn't belong and why.
Listen, I don't know how much he's in charge of who gets what released on social media, okay? They're trying to show continuity as an organization. You didn't think that vote was going to work anyways, right? I don't know.
They tried.
They
shouldn't have
did.
done it if they thought it was going to fail.
I mean, they're not going to.
Rule number one of politics. Don't get on a losing horse.
Well, that was going to be a tough horse to win the race no matter what, as we saw.
And don't get on it.
Well, they want a new stadium. What are you going to tell them? I mean, yeah, and they don't want to pay for it, so they gave it their best shot. I don't know. You're being a little harsh. That's what I would say,
That's
Dr.
okay.
Dim.
That's
right.
okay.
All
My
right.
back hurts. My back hurts. Hey, look, we can, if you want to see ass kissing and flowers and pom-poms, watch another show. Oh, wait, it's not on for 5 months. But there's got to be some other show you can watch that will give you glass half full all the time. We're going to give you reality. I'm going to give you my truthful, honest assessment all the time. And with the benefit of doing this job for 23 years, I can tell you, and they won't come out and say it, but coaches and general managers throughout the league will see that graphic and they will say, what the is Mark Donovan doing on that graphic? That's what they'll say.
I don't
because
disagree with that.
His ass isn't on the line when things go sideways. Okay.
I hear you.
Now, let's pivot to this. Supposedly, Andy Reid is now the highest paid coach in the NFL. Now, until they give us the full scope of the money he's getting from the Chiefs and from whatever other business interest Clark Hunt has that is feeding Andy Reid separately, and we know that happens to keep the expectations lower.
What do we
for
think
all the other coaches?
Is the highest number right now, right? What do we think is the highest number now that Belichick's gone?
Well, Belichick, according to the ESPN article from last week, he's getting $25 million this year.
I don't doubt that.
I don't believe that's true.
I think it's north of 20.
I don't believe that's true.
I think it's north of 20.
Yeah,
but I don't know about 25.
He was at 12 and a half. Reid was at 12 and a half.
Yeah, that's
and
way
Peyton's
too low.
At 20.
Right.
Peyton's at 20.
Peyton's at 20, right? McVay is around 17 or 18. Isn't that what we heard a few years ago? Right.
Around that, yeah,
right.
Around that.
Right.
But we still don't know where those extra little pieces factor into this. There's the contract that goes to the league. And then there's the other stuff that the guy gets to just, let's not blow the curve and let's not let the other coaches know that there's a rising tide out there that isn't lifting their boat.
I feel like that's going on less, though. I will say that. It's not as much as the old days, right? I do think it's because of you and how you've explained it and you've made it a big thing. I do think that's going on less with, paying from another to suppress the market. I do think in the last few years it's actually starting from the people I do know and talk to. I think it's actually starting to become a little bit more real. I'm sure it's not 100% real to your point, but I think it's less than it was 15, 20 years ago with coaches getting paid off the books. That's all.
Or they're getting better at hiding it.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Right.
But yeah, where is Reid? And look, and it's funny because 12 and a half was an embarrassment. It never should have been 12. 12 and a half after everything he had done to be getting paid $12.5 million per year when Belichick's at twice that amount, when Peyton's at 20, when you've got 2 Super Bowl wins, you've got this team that is constantly successful and constantly contending and constantly competing and weathering all storms, and he's at 12 and a half. And remember all that talk about maybe he'll retire after this year. The Chiefs were bracing for the possibility. At the core of it all, and I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but, because he didn't retire, that it's this very binary thing. Oh, you said he might retire and he didn't retire. Well, you were wrong. Well, just because he didn't do the thing he might do doesn't mean he wasn't going to possibly do it. And it might have just been an effort to get the contract he now has. Hey, if you're going to keep paying me $12.5 million, I'm too old for this shit. You want to pay me a fair rate commensurate with the top coaches in the game, then I'll keep doing it at age 65.
Yeah.
But if you're going to keep disrespecting me at 12 and a half, I'm not going to keep doing it. And that becomes a factor in whether or not you're going to continue to go forward. You're going to treat me fairly or you're not. And through all of that stuff, Chris, through all of that stuff in December and January, and you and I know stuff that we can't say that if we said it, people would be like, hey, maybe they were bracing for Andy Reid. Maybe they really were. Wow. Well, that happened? Oh, wow. Maybe they were bracing for Andy Reid to possibly retire. I never got 1 ounce of pushback from the Chiefs, from Reid, from anybody, directly or indirectly, that you're barking up the wrong tree. And we know how this goes. When we're barking up the wrong tree, people will tell us you're barking up the wrong tree. And at the end of the day, hey, you offer this guy a contract that supposedly makes him the highest paid coach in the NFL. Yeah, I'll keep going. On top of having Patrick Mahomes chasing, now he's in pretty good position to catch Don Shula. Forget about Bill Belichick. It might be Andy Reid that catches Don Shula before it's all said and done. But you still got to make it fair. And there's no salary cap for coaches. The Chiefs are swimming in money. it's time to take care of Andy Reid and Brett Veach, which is what they finally did.
Yeah, good for them. Good for doing it. Like you said, it was grossly underpaid. I'm sure, hey, I'm making top of the market money. That energizes anybody, right? It makes you feel like, hey, they respect me. They see my worth, all that. And it's astounding when he's done, Big Red. I mean, it's astounding. It's incredible. It's incredible the run they're on right now. I mean, we got it right here. I mean, since 2017, 100 wins, 34 losses, including the postseason. 7 consecutive AFC West championships. 4 AFC championships, 3 Super Bowl titles. That's incredible. You said he's now only behind who? Hallis, Belichick, and Shula for all-time wins. I think Belichick on the all-time playoff win list, right? Bill Belichick, all-time playoff win list. Like Andy Reid's only, 5 or 6 games behind. We're talking 2 years from now, he could be tied with Bill Belichick in that department. If they go to the Super Bowl or they, win the wild, anything like that. So, I mean, we're watching one of the all-time greats. And he finally got the quarterback that could get him over the hump and do and take advantage of his genius and creativity. And it's all come to a pinnacle, and they're amazing what they're doing.
Wasn't there a time in baseball when Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan were constantly going back and forth with the all-time strikeouts record, and one would pass the other, and then the other would pass? I vaguely recall there was a time that was happening.
I think there might have been, right. And then Nolan just outlasted him and put him away, right? Yeah.
But look, I mean, you consider the team that Andy Reid has. MDS did the math today. If they average 12 or 13 wins per season, and they've averaged 12.5 since Mahomes has been the quarterback, if they average 12 to 13 per year, by 2029, the last year of this new contract, Andy Reid will catch Don Shula.
Wow.
And I remember making that point last summer when we started looking at the all-time records and where's Belichick, and Andy Reid's coming up on the outside.
Yeah.
And he's got the greatest quarterback of all time, right, or one of them.
Yeah.
Belichick doesn't anymore. And Belichick doesn't even have a job right now. Doesn't that create an even greater incentive for him to not just get back? He needs to get back to a team that can win. He doesn't need to come back and not win. He needs to find a team where he can win right away and try to catch Don Shula before he gets jumped by Andy Reid, which very well could happen.
Very well could happen.
It's kind of amazing what may be coming here over the next 5 or 6 years.
But when you look at all that stuff, and I know it's an important stat. I already look at Andy Reid and Bill Belichick and go, you won against Don Shula already. How many Super Bowls he got? Yeah, you got more. That's the ultimate goal, right? So I'm always, and I know it's certainly a special thing to have and all of that, but I don't know what I guess was what I'm saying. I don't know if that brings Belichick to the table just to pass Don Shula. I'm sure he'd like that, but yeah, I don't know how much it motivates him. I know Don's not probably his favorite person in the world after Don's talked so much crap about him.
No, crapped all over him after Spygate. I've never heard anything that would push back against the concept that Belichick isn't extremely determined to pass Don Shula. That was one of the concerns about hiring him. He's just going to stick around long enough to pass Shula, and then he's going to walk off into the sunset.
Right.
So I think he very much wants to. I think that he's a historian, and I'm always a little bit skittish about putting too much stock in individual accomplishments in the ultimate team sport. But winning games is the metric that matters. And if you're the coach that's won more games than anyone and more Super Bowls than anyone, kind of hard to argue you're not the greatest coach in the history of the game.
Yeah.
So that may be what he's looking at. But Andy Reid could be the one that we end up calling the GOAT of coaching before it's all said and done. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.